on CNN Tonight.
And as Ron Reagan always used to say, God bless America.
One of the Senate's conservative lions says it's time to retire. They're hoping to retire too, soon. And rich. And he wants a new job at the White House.
Every time I look at George Bush, I know that I'm qualified to at least do what he does.
CNN Tonight with Bill Hemmer at the CNN Center in Atlanta.
And good evening. In 1 hour's time, someone might be $200 million richer before taxes, of course. One of the fattest paychecks in Powerball history, up for grabs, and tickets were selling at an unbelievable pace. More than $3 million per hour. As one store manager puts it, everyone is dreaming today. 21 states in Washington, D.C. offer the Powerball game, and to win, someone must pick the lucky 6 numbers, and the odds are incredible, too. 80 million to 1, but hope still runs high.
What are you going to do with this money if you win?
Anything I want.
Anything you want?
That's right.
Splurge, retire to Hawaii, and goof off the rest of my life.
First of all, I'm going to share it with all my friends. No, not really. I'm going to go hide.
Now, not everyone thinks that $1 gamble, though, is a good thing. Is it harmless entertainment or a harmful act of desperation? CNN's Maria Hinojosa and the ongoing debate over the stakes behind this frenzied game of chance.
Question: what is the oldest and most widespread form of state-sponsored gambling in the United States? Not the races, not the card games. It's the lottery.
We built the Erie Canal through lottery sales. We built the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. through lottery sales.
Last year, Americans spent $38.3 billion on lottery tickets. This year, it could even be more.
The vast majority of the public believe that lotteries are a terrific way to raise needed revenues. It's voluntary. People enjoy playing the games.
The lottery is more popular during a down economic cycle. It's almost an act of desperation.
Desperation that can lead to a frenzy as people drive across state borders just to buy tickets for Powerball. But think about these odds. If you drive just 10 miles to buy a lottery ticket, you're 16 times more likely to die in a car accident than you are to buy the winning ticket. Your chances of winning, 80 million to 1.
It's a tax on stupid people. And stupid is a really harsh word, but what it means is that people who are less financially sophisticated and perhaps have less of the education that is needed to understand personal finances are the people who gravitate toward the lottery.
Not so, says Rebecca Paul, who launched lotteries in Illinois, Florida, and Georgia, which, along with 34 other states, use lottery revenue to pay for education and public works, instead of raising taxes.
When you look at the incredible good that's done with the dollars that are raised and the relative innocence, if you look at all other forms of gaming that a lottery ticket provides, it's a win-win for certainly legislators and their constituents want to play.
Lottery foes are quick to note any benefits are offset by a bigger loss, the number of people who are drawn into and hooked by state-sponsored gambling. But these days,
if you wanted to pick us up a couple tickets, we wouldn't say no.
With the media and Powerball frenzy itself, the pressure is on for everyone to get in the game.
Right now, most Americans, 87% of Americans, accept gambling as a form of entertainment.
And until the lucky few stop winning millions, Americans will continue playing the game. Maria Hinojosa, CNN, New York.
So then, where does a $200 million jackpot rank in U.S. lottery history? Believe it or not, it's only third. That's behind a $363 million prize won last year and a $295 million jackpot back in 1998. You can get the Powerball numbers here on CNN, 11 o'clock Eastern. Again, less than an hour's time. We'll have them for you right here. In a high-stakes gamble of another kind, California Democrat Gary Condit is breaking his months-long silence. The congressman sending more than 200,000 letters to constituents. He's been at the center of the controversy swirling around the disappearance of intern Chandra Levy now for months. People magazine puts Condit and his wife Carolyn on the cover of its September 3rd issue. Condit also plans interviews with Newsweek and ABC's Connie Chung tomorrow. And tomorrow night, here on CNN, Condit speaks the reaction. A special report right here, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 on the West Coast, following that interview tomorrow night. Longtime conservative Senator Jesse Helms says 30 years will be enough. Today, the Republican from North Carolina announced his 5th term in the Senate will indeed be his last. Helms has had health problems for several years running.
You see, if my health continues to be good when my present 5th term ends at 2002, adjournment, sine die, as they put it, of the 107th Congress, I will be 81 years old. And I will then have served 30 years as a senator from North Carolina, longer than any other senator elected by the people of North Carolina. And not in my wildest imagination did it ever occur to me that such a privilege would ever be mine.
A statement from President Bush today by way of Texas says the Senate is losing an institution. Often called Senator No for his stand on some issues, Jesse Helms has bedeviled opponents during his time on Capitol Hill. So then, who will the left cast as its devil now? Tonight, CNN's Bill Schneider with The View from Washington.
Helms was loved and he was hated. His name could raise vast amounts of money for both the left and the right. Ask Roger Craver, leading direct mail fundraiser for the left.
The business of political causes and issues is a lot like professional wrestling. There is good and there is evil. And Jesse Helms, to those of us on the left, is evil.
To raise money in politics, you need a devil. To the left, Helms was the great Satan.
One man cannot hold this much power in the Congress of the people.
For decades, Helms' name on a fundraising appeal would make liberals' flesh creep and their wallets open. He is sophisticated, shrewd, and dangerous, the letters said. He refers to a black as Fred, and all blacks are Freds. He thinks it's funny. Join the battle to defeat Jesse Helms. Enclosed is my contribution. Of course, Helms' name was just as good at raising money for the right. Their mail invoked devils on the left, radicals and liberals like Jesse Jackson and Eleanor Smeal. The same inflammatory language. The National Liberal Coalition, led by the union bosses and Jesse Jackson, have launched a massive hate campaign to defeat Senator Helms.
He perfected, or at least advanced, direct mail for political causes. Unfortunately, the wrong political causes, but he made an enormous contribution to that.
So what will the direct mail fundraising industry do now? The right still has some devils to attack. Teddy Kennedy, Hillary. But what devils does the left have? Newt Gingrich was a terrific devil, but he's gone. Tom DeLay? Catherine Harris? No. How about John Ashcroft?
Who would have thought at the beginning of the millennium that a president-elect would name or would nominate to be Attorney General someone to the right of Senator Jesse Helms?
Pretty scary, huh? But no Jesse Helms.
I don't see any on the right that are nearly as vehement and deadly as Jesse Helms has been.
Vehement and dangerous. In politics, that's poisonous. But in fundraising, it's a bonanza. Bill Schneider, CNN, Washington.
Also, that door opens for those who want to replace Helms in the Senate. Interested Republicans include one-time presidential candidate Elizabeth Dole, former Charlotte Mayor Richard Vinroot, Representative Richard Burr, and former Senator Locke Faircloth. On the Democratic side, North Carolina Secretary of State Elaine Marshall has entered the race. State Rep Dan Blue and four-term Governor Jim Hunt may be approached to run as well, but Hunt says there is no way he would enter the race. Now to the manhunt in California. Police have upped the reward now to $30,000 for anyone who helps them capture and convict Nikolai Soltis. The 27-year-old is suspected of killing 6 members of his family. The latest victim, his 3-year-old son. Detectives say a note written by Soltis led them to the toddler's body and some more disturbing evidence as well.
The adult footprints walk away from the vehicle along with some smaller prints. We also found some sandals at the scene, which appear to be approximately the same size as the foot impressions, and these would have been from the boy. The adult footprint as well as the little sandal, walk from the vehicle towards a grass area where they are lost while heading in the direction of the box. Another set of footprint, again, only the adult prints, are found walking back towards the vehicle from the box. Little Sergei was found in the box, kind of head down. It appears that he received a very serious wound, again, consistent with a knife wound, and again, all consistent with the other very serious wounds we found on all the other victims so far. It appears that perhaps the child may have been violated also. One thing that was also found in the bottom of the box are numerous new toys, as if the father enticed the boy into the box with the toys.
Again, that manhunt continues. Detectives believe Soltis at this time is driving an emerald green Ford Explorer. Now to some other top stories tonight. The New York Parole Board has denied parole for a 1960s radical charged in a deadly armored car heist. Kathleen Boudin has served 20 years to a 20-day life sentence for robbery and murder. Boudin, now 58, was a passenger in the getaway van used by Black Liberation Army members. Her next chance at parole comes in the year 2003. Also, a New York woman who refused to pay her rent has been charged with second-degree murder. A city marshal was killed while trying to serve Joanne Jones an eviction notice. Police say Jones beat Erskine Bryce with a stick, doused him with flammable liquid, and then set his body on fire. South in New Jersey, a bus filled with casino gamblers overturned today on the Garden State Parkway, injuring at least 24 passengers. Police say the bus was returning to New York from Atlantic City when it swerved to avoid a vehicle and then overturned. It takes a miracle to become a saint, so what kind of case can be made for Mother Teresa? Find out about a little-known side ahead in tonight's cover story. And what's Al Sharpton running for now? Jeannie Most tonight makes the most of it a bit later on CNN Tonight.
Tonight on Greenfield at Large, from Gary Condit's interview tomorrow to the president's home to the Heartland vacation, if it's all about image, how do you ever judge the real thing? The packaging of politics on Greenfield at Large right after the news.
First, though, in tonight's news quiz, 30,000 painted the town of Bunal, Spain, bright red today. The traditional Tomatina Festival, one of Spain's oddest fiestas and clearly the world's largest tomato fight. What's the only rule in this event? A small entry fee, tomatoes must be broken open, females cannot participate, or an 18-year-old age requirement? The answer is coming up.
I'm Christine Romans with this Moneyline update. The markets rebounded in the final hours of trading, erasing some of yesterday's Fed-induced damage. The Dow Industrial gained 102 points, closing at 10,276. The Nasdaq added 1.5%. Despite today's rally, stocks remain lower than when the Fed aggressively started cutting rates in January. Watch Lou Dobbs' Moneyline at 6:30 and 11:30 p.m. Eastern weeknights on CNN.
Moneyline Update is brought to you by Bank of America. Make banking work as never before. Why not? Bank of America. Grow.
I think being first is never easy. Will I make it? Will I be laughed at? Will it be worth it?
Is your laundry as fresh as the mountain air? It is if you're using Sierra, the fabric softener with built-in mountain freshness. The secret is Sierra's deep action.
Hi there. Got bugs? Well, once they get into your house, there's only one way to get them out. Yeah, call the man. The Orkin Man. Orkin's double protection kills the bugs you have now and keeps them from coming back later. Guaranteed. Call the man at 1-800-800-ORKIN.
Buying or selling a home? RE/MAX agents lighten that load. Averaging more than 13 years experience, they work the kind of practical magic that sets you free. RE/MAX.
We're here with wrestling gold medalist Rulon Gardner.
You're a pretty big guy.
Yeah, and my feet take the brunt of it. That's why it's great you gave me these new extra support insoles.
It's the first insole with the expandable heel cup.
It feels good.
New Dr. Scholl's Extra Support insoles.
Yippee!
Woohoo!
Yes!
We are in the sweet spot now, baby.
Give me five. There is no stopping us now.
This
the sky
market
is
is
the limit.
incredible.
NASDAQ. They expect the NASDAQ to surge above 6,000.
Rather than feel nostalgic for days gone by, a Merrill Lynch financial advisor can help reallocate your portfolio to better navigate today's up and down market.
Isn't even close to running out.
So while we can't bring back the past,
NASDAQ 10,000.
we can make the future something to look forward to.
The Caribbean's favorite destination is now 35% off. Call your travel agent or Air Jamaica Vacations at 1-800-LOVEBIRD to book your Jamaica vacation today. Hurry! Sale ends August 24.
Come to Jamaica, you got to feel alright.
We got a nice view today from the cockpit camera as Discovery returned to the Kennedy Space Center, ending its 11-day mission. It also marks the return to Earth and adjusting to gravity for 2 Americans and a Russian cosmonaut who made up the second crew of Space Station Alpha, back on Earth safely here. Also on Earth weather-wise, Karen McGinnis with us now and watching Dean, huh? He's the bad boy in the Caribbean.
Right. We've just got him lined up right now. Chantal, has seen better days, but we do fly down across the Caribbean. Looks like it's going to be fairly interesting over the next several days. As we take a look at this close-up view, we'll see this picture, the radar images from San Juan. And yeah, they really saw some pretty good downpours there, some pretty gusty winds also through the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Some winds gusting between about 40 and 50 miles an hour, but Dean has sustained winds of 60 miles an hour. Now, it's moving to the west-northwest, and guess what? That means if you're thinking about going to the Bahamas, you might want to rethink that for just now. It looks like in the next day or so it could be impacting this region. It is moving rather swiftly, but we think it's eventually going to be slowing down. And it looks like by going into the weekend, we might actually see this weather system move more towards the northwest. And eventually, well, might it divert more towards the north? Well, there's going to be a ridge of high pressure here. There's also an old frontal boundary, and that may help it just kind of steer further out towards the Atlantic. But these weather systems are very fickle, and it could do almost anything. Very warm water temperatures here. All right, we have tropical storm watches and warnings out. The watches are out for the central Bahamas, and the warnings are out for the Turks and the Caicos, also extending on over westward through Acklands Island as well. So be aware, it's going to be fairly stormy. And in our weather picture through the Ohio River Valley, I think it might be a little stormy. Maybe your folks might get a little bit of rainfall there, Bill.
Not a bad thing to get this time of year. Thank you, Karen. Much appreciated. See you tomorrow. It is clearly the highest honor in the Catholic Church, sainthood. And some would say Mother Teresa certainly qualifies for this honor, but as tonight's cover story reveals, the road to sainthood is paved with more than just faith. From Rome tonight, here's CNN's Jim Bitterman.
Brooklyn-born Robert Sarno bristles at the description, but he is nonetheless one of the handful of Vatican officials whose job it is to make saints. And now, one of the most detailed cases for sainthood ever has landed in Monsignor Sarno's office in Vatican Square. 35,000 pages of documents in dozens of boxes, attesting to the heroic virtues and occasionally the shortcomings of Mother Teresa of Calcutta.
With Mother Teresa, as with any other cause, you are looking to see what is God saying to the church, what is God saying to the world through this individual, through Mother Teresa.
The Catholic Church, and especially its current Pope, feel the lives of saints set an example for believers, demonstrating how ordinary people can do extraordinary things for the faith. And Catholics believe that saints can intercede in their behalf to win favors from heaven or even work miracles. Since Mother Teresa's death in 1997, a half-dozen people say that prayers to her have led to miraculous cures. At least one must be proved to a medical committee before she can be beatified, and there must be a second proven miracle before she can become a saint. Those who spent years gathering the boxes of evidence, like Father Brian Kolodechuk, a member of Mother Teresa's Missionaries of Charity, know that the Vatican will require hard proof, that nothing can be swept under the carpet. In recent years, changes in the rules for saint-making have eliminated the so-called devil's advocate, a churchman officially charged with challenging the evidence on proposed saints. But it's still required that all documentation, pro and con, be taken into account. In Mother Teresa's case, for instance, evidence was found that beneath her cheerful and positive exterior, she had in private a darker side, her feeling that she had been deserted by God.
No one would have ever guessed that was going on, something like sharing in the pain and the sense of even abandonment of Jesus on the cross, you know, when he said, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Despite the world acclaim Mother Teresa received for her good works among the poor and dying, when it comes time to decide on her sainthood, even the opinions of her detractors will be considered. Some believe that only proper if one is to create a balanced picture of Mother Teresa's saintly but flawed character.
She was utterly convinced that she knew what the world needed. So she was not there to stop people dying. She was there to help them die a better death. That illness was something that may or may not be dealt with, but spiritual poverty was a more serious illness.
Even without his boxes of evidence, Monsignor Sarno has heard that kind of criticism before. But he has no doubt personally that Mother Teresa will become a saint. Saints, he says, are not perfect. Only God is. Jim Bitterman, CNN, Rome.
Thank you, Jim. Our news quiz straight ahead here. And which owl would you vote for?
There may be two owls in this race. One owl shaved and lost weight. The other one grew a beard and gained weight.
Next year, find out why there was a bit less of Al Sharpton to make the most of tonight. Back after this.
Now's the best time to join America Online.
If I knew it was this easy, I would have started a long time ago.
Because now you can try AOL and get our best offer ever. 1,000 hours of AOL free for 45 days. Plug it in and you go. You don't need a credit card to join AOL. Call 1-877-265-0100 and be online in minutes.
America Online is the easy one.
Our free 24-hour customer service representatives are always available by phone.
Customer service is always there to help.
1,000 hours for 45 days free. Call 1-877-265-0100 to get everything AOL offers.
You've got mail.
I've got mail. I love when an instant message pops up.
AOL has parental controls,
and that's a good thing.
Chat, instant messages, email.
AOL has it all. Now you can join AOL right over the phone. You don't even need a credit card.
Fire up the computer and off you go.
Get online in minutes. Our operators are standing by.
If we could do it, anyone can.
America Online, so easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Call 1-877-265-0100 for AOL's best offer ever.
Do you really know who your politician is? From Gary Condit's first public words about Chandra Levy to President Bush's home to the Heartland vacation. It's all about the political packaging. Greenfield at Large, next on CNN.
Yes. What do you say to investors who are a little frightened of the current market?
Is this a good time to get out?
I've been in this business now for 40 years, and I've seen at least 12 other serious corrections as we're having right now. It's just part of investing. You've got to take the ups with the downs. The important thing is an appropriate diversification within your portfolio. Yes.
What do I do right now?
If you have questions like this, call 1-800-3-SCHWAB today to sign up for our complimentary workshop, Navigating Today's Market.
Refinancing your mortgage may be easier than you think. Just log on to Ditech.com or call 1-800-71-FIX. Today's low fixed rate with 0 points is only 6.875%. With interest rates lower, now may be a great time to get cash or use the equity in your home to consolidate bills. It's smart money from Ditech.com. Apply online or call us at 1-800-71-FIX.
Dr. Schultz, next stop, the LA Marathon. 26.2 miles.
I'm ready to go. We'll see you at the finish line. We gave a group of runners our Advantage Sport insoles to prove how much they can help their performance.
Go, go, go!
It's the only sport insole with the Advanced Force-Line Energy Return System, which helps give runners a more efficient stride.
Hey, congratulations! So how did our Advantage Sport insole feel? This is the best that my feet have ever felt after a race. It was incredible.
The impact and the stress was absorbed by the insoles. Awesome!
Woo!
Treat yourself right at DrScholes.com.
Unexpected guests say the most unpredictable things on Greenfield at Large next. Then join the team of Sports Tonight, followed by Lou Dobbs' Moneyline on CNN.
Buick Summer Drive Away adds bonus cash. Through August 31st, get a Buick Open Golf bonus on top of closeout cash on every new 2001 Buick. Drive away with total cashback offers ranging from $2,400 to $3,900. Golf bonus cash ends August 31st. Buick Summer Drive Away. And look at this 2002 Rendezvous. Lease a CXL all-wheel drive for as low as $394 per month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details. See your participating Buick dealer.
Starting Thursday, it's Car Stereo City's 9th annual tent sale next to Mall 205. Meet factory reps from Sony, Clarion, Pioneer, Rockford Fosgate, and more. Speakers $7, car decks with speakers $17, Rockford subs $27, car alarms $37, CD players $47, remote 6-disc CD changers $87, car decks and 12-disc CD changers $137. Nokia wireless phones better than free plus $110 cash back, $100 free accessories, and 3,400 minutes of talk time from AT&T for only $39.99 per month. Hurry to Car Stereo City next to Mall 205.
This is CNN.
Now the answer in our quiz tonight. In Bunal, Spain, today the annual Tomatina Festival. An hour-long tomato-throwing frenzy hit the streets, and we want to know, what's the only rule in this event? A small entry fee? Tomatoes must be broken open? Females cannot participate? Or an 18-year-old age requirement? The answer is B. Tomatoes must be broken open to try and prevent any injuries. And good luck with that challenge. From throwing tomatoes to throwing hats now is in throwing hats into the ring. As in President, Al Sharpton might do it, and tonight Ginny Mose is making the most of his story.
Dr. King, we can take...
In the old days, Al Sharpton often dressed as if he were going for a run. But not a run for office, whether chasing a TV crew or getting decked by a fellow guest on a talk show. Reverend Sharpton made headlines and turned heads.
I'm not a miniature black man. If you're going to lynch me, get your biggest tree. Right on.
A decade later, he's still not miniature, but he did lose 32 pounds fasting in jail to protest the bombing of Vieques.
Well, I'm half as stylish as I used to be.
Supporters have a nickname for him.
Thank you, Reverend Al. All right.
But these days, another title is being bandied about. President Sharpton?
President of what?
United States.
It's not April Fool's, is it?
President Sharpton, how's that strike you?
Pretty odd.
Oh, not bad. You got President Bush, so it can't be too bad.
Every time I look at George Bush, I know that I'm qualified to at least do what he does.
Reverend Sharpton came out of jail bearded, but not for long, unlike another Al.
There may be two Al's in this race. One Al shaved and lost weight, the other one grew a beard and gained weight. So
all you have to do is mention his name. We're doing a story on Al Sharpton because he announced an exploratory. I saw you make that face. Even people who like him can't help reacting.
We will never turn around. We will never back down.
Reverend Al is the closest thing America has to the rapping Senator Bulworth.
Big money, big money. One man, one vote. Now, is that really real? The name of our game is Let's Make a Deal. Now, people got their problems, the haves and the have-nots, but the ones that make me listen pay for 30-second spots.
Sharpton's sharp tongue cuts both ways.
I don't really like him. I think he's too outspoken. I think he speaks too much. I didn't like him at first. Now I think very highly of him.
Sharpton has toned down his image. Matured, he says, since the old days.
They like my hair.
The hair Jay Leno still jokes about.
Whose hairdo is that? And I realized today, look, you see what I'm saying?
Nah, not Mary Tyler Moore.
That's my bond with James Brown. When I was a kid, he was like my father. And he's the one that got my hairstyle like that, so I looked like him.
Papa's got a brand new bag.
Al Sharpton may someday have a brand new bag running for president, but he'll still be running his fingers through his James Brown hair. Jeannie Moe, CNN, New York.
2004, not too far away. That does it for us on CNN Tonight. I'm Bill Hemmer. Don't forget, we'll have the Powerball numbers for you 30 minutes from now, 11 o'clock Eastern right here. Greenfield at Large starts right now. Have a good night. See you on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Tonight, did you give your summer vacation a title? The president did, Home to the Heartland. Would you discuss your infidelity on national television? The last president did, and Congressman Gary Condit will no doubt do so tomorrow. If politics is all about packaging now, how do you judge the real person? Do you even know them when you see them anymore? The packaging of politics, tonight on Greenfield at Large. Congressman Gary Condit's interview tomorrow is, it's probably fair to say, an exercise in reshaping his public image, to the extent he had one before all this, trying to remove some of the tarnish left by months of his silence and the loud laughter on late-night television. His interview is no accident. It's part of a concerted strategy. For instance, he's also given his first print interview, but not to the Washington Post or New York Times. No, he's sharing the cover of People with his wife and Jennifer Lopez. This sort of image rehabilitation, and more important, the day-to-day packaging of every politician, really shouldn't surprise anyone anymore. In fact, it has been around for ages.
We, the people, cannot turn back.
Maybe it started back with Teddy Roosevelt, TR, the first president with a conscious public relations strategy. Portray the youngest ever president as a vigorous leader, the better to dominate the fast-growing world of American newspapers. FDR certainly understood it. The perpetual jaunty smile, projecting confidence and optimism to a nation in the grip of the Great Depression. And a voice tailor-made for the now dominant medium of radio.
I am happy to speak to you from my home on a Sabbath day.
No doubt John Kennedy loved his children, but there's also no doubt that his team fully understood the public appeal of these private moments. It was an instinct Kennedy's successor, Lyndon Johnson, never did have. A master at inside politics, a novice at selling his image.
For a government that serves no special interest.
As late as 1968, the country could still be shocked by the whole idea of a presidential candidate as a packaged commodity. That's why Joe McGinnis's account of Richard Nixon's PR strategy, The Selling of the President, 1968, became a #1 bestseller. And 4 years later, the revelation that the 1972 GOP convention was scripted by its planners aroused a minor furor in the press.
I again proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
But since then, we have seen the two most effective political figures of our time, Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton, take to the public spotlight as easily as fish take to water. We see our candidates, our presidents for that matter, appear just about every day in front of backdrops that are obviously proudly chosen for the political messages they send. Even a president's vacation comes wrapped up with a package. In this case, a title.
You see the cows lying down?
Home to the Heartland. And more the press asks not, is this manipulative imagery, but how effective is the imagery? Well, it's at least effective enough for us to devote our program to, with the help of Bill Plant, who covers the White House for CBS News and joins us from Crawford, Texas, where he has been covering the so-called Western White House. That's itself a bit of packaging. With me here in New York, our Republican media consultant and author of The Big Enchilada, a book about his role and the role of the Bush campaign last year, Stuart Stevens. Also with us, a veteran of the Clinton administration, now syndicated columnist and co-host of the radio show Left, Right, and Center, Matt Miller. Bill Plant, down there in the heartland, let me begin with what may seem like a blunt question. Do you take anything any president says, after all your years covering them, at face value? Will you just say, okay, he's at a ball game because he wants to go to a ball game?
Nope, the short answer is absolutely not. If I've learned anything in 20 years of covering White Houses, one of the biggest things I've learned is that there is a reason behind almost everything any president does. And it usually takes into account the politics of the situation. Anytime over the last 20 years that I've been tempted to give a president the benefit of the doubt, I find out later from people who were there when the decisions were made that politics was always taken into consideration. It isn't done for the sake of doing it.
Well, Stuart Stevens, is that skepticism, well, let's not call it cynicism because it's a loaded word, is that skepticism justified by the relentless packaging of any major president, or is this just another example of a press bringing its own cynical take to this process?
I think that the Clinton years are going to be seen as the peak of this. Clinton was really the first political consultant elected president. Here was a guy who, he came out of the political consulting culture, that he's most conversant. You know, when Dick Morris said that he saw Bill Clinton as an equal as a political consultant. Dick thought that was a compliment. This was a good thing. You have, compare these vacations, you know. The president is in Crawford because he actually likes Crawford, lives Crawford. No one tested Crawford, as opposed to the testing that Bill Clinton actually did where he would go on vacation. So, while I do think that there is an effort, obviously, in the White House to present this heartland as a resonant theme, there's some genuineness to it that I think comes across to people.
Now Matt, is that, you just heard Stu Stevens describe the last Democratic president as someone who tested everything. And that this president, no, that just happens to be his home. Does your take on the sincerity of what a politician does depend in part on whether you agree politically with that president?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Bill Plant's right when he says you're going to be skeptical of everything they do because we all know that there is a conscious choice made in how to portray just about everything. I think where the skepticism goes too far is when the press ends up looking for the spin even on something that's a policy announcement at the expense of even saying, what is this policy they're proposing? Because it becomes easier to say, it becomes easier for the press to act as a theater critic as opposed to actually saying, here's the impact of this tax proposal or this spending proposal.
Yeah, Bill Plant, this is an interesting point, I think, that Matt makes, that we've become so determined to peer behind the curtain and figure out the political motivation of it that we spend not nearly enough time saying, well, is this a good or a bad idea? Do you cop to that charge?
Sure, because I think that it is not inconsistent with what I said a moment ago to also hold that sometimes things are simply what they appear to be. It's not always in our power to know or judge correctly when that is the case. But as Stuart pointed out, George W. Bush undoubtedly likes living in this part of Texas. I don't question that at all. I might question why he decided to make his home here instead of in the comfortable suburbs of Dallas about the time that he was thinking about running for president. But anyway, of course he was in the governor's mansion then. But that is not to say that there can't be mixed motives. But I think a politician is always going to look at the repercussions image-wise and politically.
Before we break, Stu Stevens, is it at least a fair point to say that folks like you, I used to be many years ago one of them, so I have to include myself, will often look at almost anything their candidate is doing and put it through a political prism? Is this a good idea, bad idea?
Look, I think people like myself are terrible corruption of the system. I think often the candidates resist this. They don't like it. Certainly that's the case with President Bush. I believe that if there's any sort of just God, that in 20 years, people who do what I do have gone the way of Tammany Hall bribe masters. And we'll look back and we'll say, how did these people exist? Why did they exist?
All right, I'm going to pick up on that point and find out how we ever get to that potential utopia, if that's what it is, in a minute. We're going to take a break now. We will return, and later, he was the most honest president of all, right? Maybe not. We'll be back.
This is Joe. And this is Jim. Joe never developed a disciplined investment strategy with the Merrill Lynch financial advisor. Jim did. Joe never created a diversified portfolio to prevent him from overreacting to ups and downs in the market. Jim did. And now, even though he's never at a loss for ways to fill his day, Joe spends a lot of time wondering why he didn't do exactly what Jim did.
How about BobTheBugKiller.com? Yeah, whatever, Bob. XLiveBugs.com. Okay, that doesn't even make sense. When am I dropping dead bug?
We make it easy to create your online identity with a full spectrum of web extensions. Your only challenge is deciding on the perfect name.
TheBugReaper.com! That's brilliant.
Create your online identity and take the steps to get a .biz, .info, or .pro extension with VeriSign today.
This is a medicine. These are the cells in your body. Take most medicines, and they scatter throughout your body to every cell. But right now, America's pharmaceutical company researchers are creating new smart medicines. They can ignore healthy cells and go straight to the disease. It may mean fewer side effects and increased effectiveness, leading to better ways to fight illnesses like leukemia, arthritis, and heart disease right where they live. Soon, there will be a lot more of these smart medicines. They'll zero in on disease, improve people's lives, and give families hope. You can bank on it. There are over 40,000 pharmaceutical company researchers in America, and they're the science behind new medicines and new hope.
It's another business day, filled with meetings and memos and migraines. But amidst this tornado of stress, there is an island of calm called PIP Printing. You can relax and rely on PIP Printing to handle important jobs, like brochures, presentations, newsletters, and manuals, with the quality and speed of digital technology to meet your deadlines with work that'll make you proud. PIP Printing will help you keep pace.
And we are back talking about the packaging of politics with Bill Plant of CBS News, now covering the Western White House down in Crawford, Texas. With me in New York, Republican media consultant and author Stuart Stevens, and also Matt Miller. He is the left of radio's Left, Right, and Center. Matt, let's take a specific example. Clearly, the Bush White House was at pains to tell us how carefully the president studied the issue of stem cell research. And the day after the speech, they literally brought out the logs of all the meetings. Does that mean we shouldn't believe that Bush actually did sit down and think very carefully about this?
No. I mean, I think both things can be true. That I think like most savvy political acts, what Bush did was simultaneously genuine and very manipulative. And it's not, it sounds like a paradox, but I think that's actually what the most effective political acts are. And I think Bush probably did grow by going through that whole process.
But Stu Stevens, can you understand why even a maybe unjaded journalist would be more likely to believe that Bush had done this if they weren't being told so relentlessly by the White House that he had done it? That a guy like Bill Plant will say, well, if they're telling me this so frequently, they've got a motive behind it.
Well, I think that there's been a concerted effort on the part of sort of East Coast media elite to underappreciate this president's intellectual firepower. And I think part of that is to show that he went through a process here that was a thoughtful process. You know, on the flip side of the coin is, if you're inside that bubble, you often feel like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. That if you really, your point's well taken, that you do something, you really think about it, you try to show there's both sides of an issue, and people say, oh, well, this is manipulative. You feel like you can't win.
See, Bill Plant, it's an interesting challenge, I think, to those of us in this business, I won't call it a profession, that if the White House laid back, if they just let nature take its course, would you be more willing to accept these kinds of notions more at face value if there weren't this army of operatives around the president?
No, I think you simply have to separate the white noise from what you hope you can see as the kernel of what's going on. I mean, there are caricatures in operation here. I mean, Stuart, I think you referred to it a moment ago. The East Coast press tends to see the president as not very bright, or at least not very curious. And the people around him, many of them tend to see us as unremittingly liberal. And even if we didn't like Clinton, we were certainly in favor of his policies. Those are the concepts that everybody brings to the table. I mean, I would like to say that I try not to do that, but it certainly seems a fact. And you have to say, well, this may be true on the one hand, that they're trying to do all of this manipulation, but that doesn't mean that he didn't study it and didn't gain by studying it.
And
in the case of stem cells.
On the other hand, if the White House, public officials generally aren't putting stuff out, they know there'll be a vacuum and they can lose control of the agenda and the nature of the discussion. Right. And obviously they're trying to, on both sides, it's a big competition to shape what we in the press do to move their agenda.
Let me raise what may be...
And I might add, they're only moving to fill the vacuum which we have created by making news available to everybody all the time. That's not a bad thing, but the more time there is, the more they'll do to fill it and make sure that it's filled from their perspective.
Okay. Stuart, are there some things that are unspinnable? That is, where you're just going to have to let reality play itself out?
I would have thought that the Monica, as a lot of the press did, that the Monica Lewinsky situation was unspinnable. That basically, how do you explain this? We were wrong. I mean, Clinton was able to, by both delaying and timing and spin, come out of that much better than any of us ever appreciated.
Which leads me, Bill Plant, to the inevitable, which is tomorrow, I dare say the political world will be watching Gary Condit's interview with Connie Chung on ABC. But how will we be watching? I sometimes get the sense, as I mentioned in the piece, that we'll be watching it more to evaluate its effectiveness than to think whether there's anything, whether we can or can't figure out whether this is in any way authentic. You know what I mean? We'll hold up like a 9.5 on empathy and a 6.3 on candor.
I think these are two sectors of the same circle, Jeff. I mean, you're going to say, how did he do? Because obviously he's trying to rehabilitate himself and perhaps save his political career. But you're also going to say, well, gee, do I think that that's genuine or not? But the two parts of the same whole.
But, Matt, how do we ever break through? I mean, if you were giving advice to a civilian as opposed to a political operative or, God help us, a journalist, what would you tell them when they're watching that interview tomorrow to look for? We've heard 500 people analyze what does Gary Condit have to do, but give the viewer a guide. What should they be looking for?
I think they should turn the volume down on all the commentary, watch it themselves, not rely on the intermediaries. I mean, I think that's why there are a lot of people who think that C-SPAN is powerful in that sense, because they don't have to have the instant spin by all of us who come in with instant takes and tell people what they're supposed to think, especially on something like this.
Amen to that.
Stuart?
I think Gary Condit's got to say that he was lying. And that he's ashamed of himself, and he should have behaved differently. But once he does that, I think that it'll begin to people say, okay, well, that's true. Now maybe I'll listen to what he says. If he doesn't do that, I think it's just going to be seen as this sort of midlife crisis at best being played out in this tawdry spectacle.
We're going to take a break in a minute, but I want to give you the last word in the segment and tell me, how does it happen that you think someday you will become an endangered species, if not extinct?
I think there's a universal consensus that the system is broken and that something's out of control. The question is, how do we fix it? That's part of campaign finance reform. That's part of an effort to have more of this. Okay. It'll change.
We're going to take a break and come back because we have time left and we want to talk about this. But later, can you imagine anyone trying to package Honest Abe? Actually, that is not an act of imagination. It happens to be part of our history. In a minute.
Is your laundry as fresh as the mountain air? It is if you're using Sierra, the fabric softener with built-in mountain freshness. The secret is Sierra's deep action.
Hi there. Got bugs? Well, once they get into your house, there's only one way to get them out. Yeah, call the man. The Orkin Man. Orkin's double protection kills the bugs you have now and keeps them from coming back later. Guaranteed. Call the man at 1-800-800-ORKIN.
Now, the same Caltrate that helps fight bone loss may help your colon, too. In a recent study, Caltrate helped reduce the risk of recurrence of colon polyps, a risk factor for colon cancer. The same Caltrate you take for your bones, now for colon health, too.
Just how much can you tap into with an AT&T broadband connection? Try over 100 channels of entertainment. All the phone lines a house could want. And oh yeah, internet that flows by the gallon. Hope you're thirsty.
You may not know it, but each of us has over 100,000 different proteins. And most medicines target proteins. Create a medicine that targets the right protein, and you can stop a heart attack before it starts, even find a way to prevent cancer. Imagine what researchers could discover if they could understand the function of the more than 100,000 proteins in the human body. That's precisely what America's pharmaceutical company researchers are working on right now. They're taking dead aim.
Now's the best time to join America Online. Plug it in and you go. Because now you can try AOL and get our best offer ever. 1,000 hours of AOL free for 45 days. You don't need a credit card. Call 1-877-265-0200 to get everything AOL offers.
You've got mail.
I've got mail. I love when an instant message pops up.
Customer service is always there to help. To get online in minutes plus 1,000 free hours, call 1-877-265-0200. Operators are standing by.
If we could do it, anyone can.
America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
Had enough of Gary Condit boycotting the big interview? Then we've got the show for you. It's the Why We're Not Watching the Gary Condit Interview Show with guests including Keith Olbermann, Greenfield at Large, tomorrow 10:30 Eastern on CNN.
I've never heard once in this chamber anybody say to the homosexuals, stop what you're doing. Do you realize that if they would stop what they're doing, there would not be one additional case of AIDS in the United States of America?
As North Carolina Senator Jesse Helms, who announced this evening that he would not seek a 6th term in the Senate, he will retire after 30 years in the Senate. And we are back talking about politics with Bill Plant of CBS News, the grizzled veteran. I will someday find out what a grizzle is, but not tonight. Media consultant Stuart Stevens and syndicated columnist Matt Miller. Bill, Jesse Helms reminds us of something. Here is a fellow who was about as unvarnished as they came. Never took a speech lesson, probably never did a focus group, never apologized for the segregationist past. He was who he was. When you look at his success, at least in North Carolina, when you look at John McCain's run in 2000, when you look at Jesse Ventura, as a practical political matter, mightn't it be smarter for these politicians to chuck the whole bunch of operatives and just run as who they are? Public seems to like it.
Only if you're in Jesse Helms' position, which is you don't care what the public thinks, but you have the power, and people are going to kowtow to you because you have the power, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and so forth.
But to get the power, he had to get elected.
Yes, but remember, he was on television as an editorialist before he ran for the Senate. He is practiced in the ways of the industry. He knows how to present himself. He's not quite as unvarnished as you're suggesting, I don't think. Or you can be John McCain. You can be the Maverick, and you're playing on that. And you know that that is going to play. So that's you, and you just do it. And you're not too worried about what comes next.
So Stuart, what does that suggest, though? That we need a better class of politicians who are confident enough to chuck you guys?
I think politicians who have a healthy skepticism for the consultant culture, and certainly this president today has that, is a good thing in life. One of the ironies of the McCain campaign was that it was run by the consultant culture. I mean, the most prominent consultants in Washington, some of them, were involved in that campaign. In a famous interview afterwards, one of their consultants said, "We made the mistake of falling in love with the meat." The meat being John McCain. This isn't a good thing. And I think that as much as we can get away from that, we'll be better served.
And the McCain campaign, I don't think was an example of pure authenticity. It was an example of someone exploiting the uses of authenticity and an excess of, a lot of flattery to the media and availability to the media, and playing that very well. He may have been the real McCoy by some people's lights, but he rolling out that bus every time he wanted to get some attention is a very conscious political decision.
Sure, but that goes back to the point you made earlier, isn't it? That you can be both at the same time. You can be authentic and then say, and I'm going to show you how authentic I am in the way I run my campaign. The question, I guess, is, and it's a jump ball, is does the public really want what it says it wants? That is, an authentic, unvarnished guy. Jesse Helms got elected in North Carolina. Dubious if he could have been elected, say, President of the United States. So, I mean, Bill, let me throw that in your court. If someone actually gets up and says what he or she thinks, is that politically wise, or do they need this bodyguard around them?
Well, look, if someone actually gets up and says what he or she thinks, there will be some people who agree and some who don't. But if you can package yourself attractively enough, and maybe you don't know you're doing it, maybe it's just you, to capture the public's imagination, then you don't need Stewart or any other consultants. But most politicians aren't that gifted.
Can they do that, or do you think after a year, I mean, I used to parody debate advice. Right. Smile, answer the questions you're asked, don't use your hands, and be yourself.
Yeah, always be yourself.
Is there any self left after a session on
President Bush used to always joke about that, be myself. Look, I think that there are glimmers of hope here. Social Security was supposed to be the third rail. You can never touch it. Yet in the campaign, Governor Bush came out with a plan that was, pretty close to hugging the third rail of politics, not just touching it.
And he almost won the election.
And so some would say that they play Hail to the Chief when he walks in the room. But
we'll fight that out another time.
Yes, but that was a good thing, to go out and break a stalemate like that. And I think that you're going to see, people said you never cared about tax cuts. Yeah, we just got a big tax cut passed. So I do think that there is a lust for anyone who seems genuine and seems authentic.
Is the operative word on that seems or is?
It's both. I mean, I think it's impossible to unpack this stuff. I think it's people yearn for something that's authentic, and I think the tube is usually a good reflection. I mean, you can see on television what people are if you get enough exposure.
Yeah. What they can see from us is what they can see from us. I'm sorry, is that we're out of time. I very much want to thank our guest, CBS News White House correspondent Bill Plant from the Heartland in Crawford, Texas, Republican media consultant Seward Stevens, and syndicated columnist Matt Miller, who have joined me here in the Heartland of Manhattan. One quick update on yesterday's show about 60s radical and convicted murderer Kathy Boudin. She was denied parole this afternoon. When we come back, the president who made Honest his first name, even if he had to fudge a little bit to do it, right after this.
Closed captioning sponsored by .mu, the global music domain. Register a .mu web address now and get a free MP3 player. Terms and conditions apply. Get your free MP3 player today at .mu.
Join the team of sports tonight. Next, then His Name Means Business. It's Lou Dobbs Moneyline, followed by Larry King Live on CNN.
Every inch, every second counts. Because every race is the most important race in all their lives. At 190 miles an hour, that's drama. That's NASCAR. See NASCAR's heroes race for the championship on TNT.
Sponsored by Midas. Brakes, exhaust, maintenance, service.
Next February, we've got the home snow. The Winter Olympics in our house, Salt Lake City, 2002. See it on the networks of NBC.
To advertise within the 2002 Olympic Games, call AT&T Media Services at 503-535-6120.
AT&T Broadband.
Pay-per-view.
Sports in Demand has MLB Extra Innings. More of the teams you want to see. More of the players you love to watch. With up to 35 out-of-market regular season games a week, any team can be your home team. Call your local cable company now to order MLB Extra Innings on digital cable. If you want better seats, buy a better couch.
Call AT&T Broadband now to order Major League Baseball Extra Innings on in-demand pay-per-view.
What can you do at VHIX.com in 30 seconds or less? And you didn't even break a sweat. VHIX.com, roadmap to the automotive world.
This is CNN.
And another thing, no conversation about modern-day political packaging is complete without the obligatory nod to the symbol of honest, old-fashioned, straight-from-the-shoulder American leadership, Abe Lincoln, a man who wrote his own speeches, had no truck with slick imagery. Comedian Bob Newhart had a famous routine about Lincoln's PR man advising him to wear a shawl and scribble a speech on the back of an envelope. The joke, of course, was that the whole idea of packaging Lincoln was absurd. Except, of course, they did. When Lincoln ran for president, his campaign pictured him as the rail splitter, the humble man of the soil. In fact, Lincoln earned his keep as a lawyer for the Illinois Central Railroad. He was one of the first generation of successful American corporate lawyers. But then, as now, corporate lawyer just isn't a very appealing image. When Lincoln and his aides fought for the Republican nomination in 1860, Abe famously ordered, "Make no deals that bind me." Right, Abe, they said, and promptly traded a cabinet post in return for the votes of the Pennsylvania delegation. The point here is not to denigrate one of our great presidents, only to point out that whatever century we're talking about, you don't get to be a great president unless you use the political tools at your disposal to win the job in the first place. I'm Jeff Greenfield, and for the huddled masses yearning to breathe free of the Gary Condit interview tomorrow, we will offer refuge of an